What's up, everybody? It's me here, Greg. I planned to have Alan on today, but life came up, so it's just me. So I figured I would talk to you guys about one-upping your collection. And what does that mean? What does one-upping your collection mean? So I recently um, was on a podcast with um, oh, it was Iowa Sports Card Dave. And I did a one up, like what decision did you make to elevate your collection? And it got me thinking about one upping a collection. Like what does that mean? Um, and so he's had about Dave's had about seven guests on so far, and there are various degrees of changing your lane in a collection. And so for me, I noticed that the Barry Sanders was my pivotal moment to change my collection path. And I really wanted to talk about it on our podcast because it got me thinking just how different my collection is now because of that. Um, hey, what's up, Red Legs? Appreciate you coming on. So the card that I was talking about on Dave's show is the Barry Sanders Golden Anniversary Refractor. And this was the first card that I spent over $500 on. And it really changed my mindset on collecting, on what I could get, what was available to me. And I moved from a window shopper to somebody who was actually able to make these purchases. So, all the things that I dreamt about buying were now suddenly available to me. Granted, within my budget and my financial means, which is important, which is what I want to talk about um, at some point here, because when you make that decision to one up your collection, essentially you're saying, I'm willing to put more money into it. I'm willing to get serious about it. I'm willing to, change either lanes or go up and elevate the collection. So I've kind of brought a few examples out to show how I personally have changed my collection or went above and beyond. And like I said, the first thing that really did that for me was the 1998 Bowman Chrome Golden Anniversary. Um, Again, this was my first purchase, one I was most nervous about because it was for auction and I didn't know what it was going to go for. I didn't know, you know, how impulsive I would be. So there was a lot going on in my head about how to navigate this new experience. But thankfully, I had about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days for the auction to end to make that decision. And it allowed me time to get an educated, I guess, idea of what the card would probably end at and what I would be willing to go if it ended at that. What I would be willing to go over for. And that decision essentially changed my collection and how I started collecting after that moment. The next card I bought after that, it was a few months later, was this, which is the 98 PMG, which I mean, it speaks for itself just on the magnitude, and it's a beautiful card. There's a few guys, Tony Clark, Ryan Sandberg, that have specific animals behind him in the background, and the Barry Sanders, I mean, having a lion behind him. How crazy is that? So the Barry Sanders was the next card I was willing to purchase, and that was probably double the price um, of the golden anniversary. But because of that first purchase, it opened the floodgates for me to make that second purchase and be okay with it. Now today, like right now, I would probably not be able to get either of those two cards. And if I were able to get them, it would be because I've saved up a significant amount. Um, you know, I don't know what that amount would be because these cards don't sell very often. So I have an educated guess on what they would probably go for, but I don't know that I would be comfortable putting that amount together for these cards. So the moment has passed and I seized the moment. So I just want to let you guys know that sometimes it's okay to seize those moments if you're financially capable of doing that, because if they pass and you skipped out, you may not be able to get them again. And if you are, you're going to have to spend an exorbitant amount of money to do so. The next one I got after that, it gets progressively easier um, once you break the seal on the first one. But the next thing I got after that was the Fantastic Four, number 5. This is Doctor Doom's first appearance, the 5.5 CGC. Um, and again, the the prices for me kept going up on the amount that I was willing to spend, but the quality of my collection was also going way up too. I appreciate that, Luke. Um, yeah, those two cards were pretty significant for me. But the Doctor Doom was actually something that I wanted in. I was collecting comics from 2013 to 2017, and I had my eye on getting Doctor Doom's first appearance. And because I'm a huge Doctor Doom fan, you can see my statue right here. I'm a huge Doctor Doom fan, and I wanted to get that first appearance. And I wish I would have in 2013 because it was essentially, I don't know, 1800 dollars, somewhere around there, maybe up to 2,000 for this copy right here, or a similar copy of similar grade. And I didn't pull the trigger. It was, I got nervous, hesitated. I didn't want to spend that amount of money. And when I bought this, when I finally got this, it was, a multiplier of that price. But it is something that I do not regret buying at all. It is the staple in my comic collection, and it is one of the things I'm most proud of in my comic collection. I don't have a huge comic collection. I'm trying to get all the Doctor Doom cover appearances, but nonetheless, the Barry Sanders helped bring me to this point. Um, hey, Project 50s, I appreciate you stopping by. So it helped me get to that point. And then the next one I ended up getting with Green Lanterns, uh, Silver A's first appearance, Showcase 22, which was a 5. But the reason I'm saying this is because that first Barry Sanders helped get me comfortable with spending an amount of money to put these things in my collection. And like I said, today it seemed to be a very smart decision. I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was just being an impulsive shopper. But looking back now, these were insanely smart purchases. And that's what I think a lot of people may not, when you're a collector, you don't always necessarily think that way. Like, am I making the smartest purchase? Because you see this shiny, beautiful card. But it just so happened that it ended up being a smart decision. All these have been very smart decisions. And I just want to reiterate to you guys that sometimes if you are financially capable, sometimes it is okay to make that decision to one up your collection. I see it on Instagram quite often where people are consolidating their purchases, their collection, their downsizing, their upgrade, whatever it looks like. People continue to move cards or their collection for something better, something different. We get bored or we come to a point in our collections where things kind of get stagnant. Like with my Tim Salmon collection, I am looking for the Bowman Chrome Golden Anniversary Refractor and uh, Masterpiece, some one of ones. So what if I only collected Tim Salmon and I'm at that point now where that's all I have left to collect. What do I do? And that's hard as a collector to think, what am I going to do when it's over? It can't be over. I don't want it to be over. So I've enjoyed this so much that there's the end point is never. So that's when, Frank Thomas, Barry Sanders, Larry Bird, comics, anything that you can really sink your teeth into. And sometimes you don't really even know what that is. You're just testing the waters, right? You're thinking, okay, um, a Barry Larkin collection is filling out really, really well. And what do I do now? So that's where these comics and cards come in. But I just want people to know that sometimes you stumble into good decisions, and that's okay, especially when it's something that you're passionate about. John Shu, I appreciate the comment. Felt dirty when I broke my one upping seal. Definitely opened up a whole new world of collecting. Yeah, it's there's a lot of anxiety there when you're making that initial purchase because you don't want to necessarily go to that side. You don't want to spend that much. You feel guilty, you feel nervous. You start thinking about all the other things you could do with it, the bills you could pay, the investments you can make. But I don't know. I think of it as investing in your happiness, right? Where you have this physical thing. You could invest in stocks, right? You can invest in stocks and look at stocks every day, and they could go up, and you could feel happy and feel smart, and you'd have that ability to sell and have some extra cash. But I don't know that everybody views stocks as the most exciting, tangible thing. As opposed to statues, comics, cards, toys, whatever it is. Um, so investing in your happiness and investing in something that you know about and are passionate about can be a very fulfilling and rewarding feeling because I might want to make a good decision with stock, buying some stocks, right? But I don't know that I'm going to have as much knowledge about that as I am this. I track this, I follow this, I talk to people about this hobby. So putting my money and investing in my happiness ended up and feels like I'm making a smart decision. So one upping my collection has essentially given me a feeling of happiness, safety. It's been rewarding, and this all stemmed again from Dave's podcast, which he's doing 27 episodes in 27 days, and it's really kind of got me thinking about the way I am collecting today versus the way I started collecting. And I don't know, I think about these moments every now and then, but to talk about them out loud on an episode and then reflect on it, it just I wanted to say it on our show just because it is important. It is something that we don't always necessarily talk about or think about, but our collections always are evolving. And for instance, I recently got the Frank Thomas 97 Gold Embossed. It was a card that was on my grail list, but it ended up being one of those cards that was I didn't want to spend that amount on, and it kept going up. So it was just always on the to-do list, right? And then finally I pulled the trigger, and I am super happy to have this card. I am grateful that I own it. I feel like I've invested in my happiness with it. It is a card that I want to look at. It's something that I'm proud of. It's just, I I think it's important to do. Let's see what red legs you say. You're in a weird situation because you're hesitant to pull the trigger on big cars. So I tell my wife about it, and she always talks me into buying it. She's the best. That's awesome. It's really important to have that kind of support, because what happens if you're if that's not happening, then you're are you sneaking? Are you feeling guilty about it? Are you not talking about it behind closed door? So I think that's really important to have a partner who is supportive and you can kind of throw ideas at. And if she supports it, then it sounds like she supports, your investment in your happiness, um, which I am a big fan of personally. The next card I wanted to show you guys, these are all big cards because this is the theme of my episode, is the 98 Ultra Platinum Medallion. That I missed the first one, which is one of those shoot yourself in the foot. I was working and the card sold for 100 and I don't know, $200, we'll say. And I thought I'll get it at another time because I'm working, I'm busy. I'll find another one. And I didn't. I did not find another one. And this one ended up the multiplier, right? For a lot more. But it was one of those cards that I'd already got the Barry Sanders and the comic, so it felt easier to make that decision. And again, it is another card that I am grateful that I got, and no regrets. Happy to have it in my collection. Um, it's just it's a good purchase. That all of these have led me to buying Michael Jordan. I had two Michael Jordan rookies at one point, and I ended up selling those because it was a situation where I wanted to consolidate, which is rare for me. But I ended up selling the two Michael Jordan rookies and getting um, something else. But again, it all led from that first point, which uh, yeah. Ben, he says happiness with your purchase when you one up lasts a lot longer. Just getting a card to get one, the joy it does wear off a lot faster. Um, I would agree with that because a lot of the impulse purchases that I make, I'm trying to put this set together. Um, the 95 Ultra Gold Medallions, and um, it's it's a fun set, right? It's fun set. It's nothing that I'm going to show off. It's just a personal collection from, nostalgic value. But these cards that I've showed you for the Barry Sanders, the Frank Thomas, the comics, that joy that I have for those items is still here. I still get excited when somebody says, "Hey, don't can I see that picture of X card?" And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely." I was waiting for you to ask. Anytime something pops up on Instagram, show your blah blah blah. I get excited because these are things that I've invested in my happiness. Um, so it's just something that I thought was important to share with you guys about moving up sometimes, and that's okay. You might get it wrong the first 7 times, but if you get it right on the eighth time, it can be something that is rewarding for years upon years. I don't have the Red Crusade Barry Larkin, but I do have the Tim Salmon, and that one was a cheapie compared to the rest of this stuff. That was my Tim Salmon Red Crusade I bought, I think in 2019, and I paid 350 for it. But I put in a bid of probably $900, something crazy, because I had never seen a Red Crusade and I didn't want to lose it. And I know there are some Tim Salmon collector guys out there that also are willing to spend some cash. So I went all in on that for Tim, all in on Tim Salmon as much as a Tim Salmon collector can go all in. And that's where I ended up on that. Um, but that's really all I had to talk to you guys about. Alan was going to come on today, but again, life happened and we haven't come on and done an episode in quite a while. It's been a month now. Um, Matt is doing the side credentials and we're still trying to get our bearings straight with our schedules and what we want to do and the direction we plan to go with it. We've got some ideas. We've got some showcases. We've got a bracket that we plan to do for inserts. So it's really exciting. It's just a matter of piecing it all together. But sorry that this is such a quick episode. I did want to get on and talk to you guys though. And I do want you to know that the essential credentials will be continuing. So I apologize that it's taken so long for us to get out here and do an episode. 1 month is a long time in card collecting world. Appreciate you guys watching and coming on to see me live. And I will see you guys hopefully in about 2 weeks. So thanks again. Keep collecting, one up your collection. If you need to, holler at me because I will talk you through it and we can get that collection right where you want it to be. All right, guys.